What's up guys, it's Bryce here from Righteous Reptiles. Today we're going to do a corn snake versus ball python video. This video is not going to tell you which snake's better and which snake's worse. It's going to explain to you the differences between them so you can decide for yourself which one suits your lifestyle better. So I want to introduce to you my two snakes, my corn snake and my ball python. My corn snake's name is Chimanga and my ball python's name is Mrs. Thumper because she likes to thump her food. And Chimanga means corn in one of the African languages. Okay, so let's start. Both of these snakes come from completely different continents. The ball python comes from Africa while the corn snake comes from North America. So it's hard to compare them because they're completely different species coming from completely different areas. This is a Colubrid, the corn snake, and this is a python. They come from completely different families. Colubrids tend to be a lot quicker, skinnier, and more active snakes than your pythons do. Okay, so let's do pricing. Pricing is an interesting one because both of these snakes are readily available and not expensive at all. So they're pretty inexpensive, although the different snakes both have completely different kinds of color varieties called morphs. Video linked up here. And these morphs tend to cost a bit more than the normal or wild type animal depending on how rare the morph is or how sought after it is. Like this ball python here, she's not a normal wild type animal. She's a bumblebee, which is a cross between a spider and a pastel, and those are both morphs, not like an actual spider obviously. So let's get into temperatures. Ball pythons need a much higher temperature than corn snakes do. They need about 32 degrees Celsius on their hotspot in summer. Check, where's Chimanga trying to go? While corn snakes can survive in a lot cooler temperatures without getting upper respiratory infection. So in that way it's a lot easier to care for corn snakes, especially if you're in a cooler climate. Although it's not that difficult to set up a room and set up the enclosure for your ball python to have it nice and humid as well as warm. So humidity may be quite a big one because ball pythons need quite a bit more humidity than corn snakes do. Ball pythons need around 60% humidity, otherwise they're not going to live properly or shed properly, while corn snakes don't need nearly as high of a humidity to get a perfect shed. Let's go on the debatable topic now of enclosure sizes. Both of these snakes need really similar enclosure sizes. I'm not going to give you exact measurements because it's a comparison video and not really a care video, but you can go look up what the minimum enclosure is for both of these snakes. It's relatively the same, although I don't think you can ever have an enclosure too big unless you don't decorate it and it's like a huge empty large enclosure, because that definitely can stress your snake out because it has nowhere to hide and nowhere to feel safe and secure. The one thing is, ball pythons do stress a lot easier. So if you're putting this as a display animal in, let's say, your lounge or your living room, I would suggest the corn snake just because it doesn't mind, or it can tolerate that stress a lot better than a ball python can. Ball pythons, if they are stressed, they tend to go off food, and that can be quite difficult and stressful for a new snake owner or anyone really, even if you've had so much experience with it and know that they're eventually going to get on food. It's still kind of stressful. Let's talk on handle ability. As you can see, both of these snakes are extremely calm right now. The corn snakes do tend to be a lot quicker and they tend to be a bit more skittish if you give them a fright in that, and that could like scare or give a fright to a new snake owner who's not used to handling snakes, because they may move quickly, but it's easy to tame them down and get them nice and calm. Whereas the ball python's just generally a ball python. They just lay around and don't do much. They're not going to try and get away from you. They're just going to lie there and chill basically. So a lot better to handle. So I would recommend the ball python for handling in that, but don't handle it too often because it can stress the animals out. The lifespan of these animals can really be varied depending on how you care for them, but the average lifespan for a corn snake in captivity is around 20 years, whereas a ball python in captivity can go well over double that of a corn snake. Up to 40 or even 56 years I think is the record for a ball python in captivity. So these are lifetime pets. It's not something you just want to get and have for a few weeks and then get rid of. You got to think ahead. These snakes do not get that large and take up so much space, so definitely I think these are worthwhile first beginner snakes. So cost of food. Corn snakes will have cheaper food generally because they're a lot smaller and won't need as much mass, whereas a ball python needs a bit more. So an adult ball python will do fine on medium rats its whole life, about once a week to every 10 days, whereas a corn snake has a bit of a faster metabolic rate and they can do fine with an adult mouse, which is a lot cheaper than a medium-sized rat. So for snakes, if you want to see them in the enclosure a lot more than just hiding around, go for a corn snake because they tend to lie around in the enclosure and aren't as shy. The ball pythons will try and stay in there, hide as much of the time as possible, and then come out at night when, oopsie, you're not awake. Ball pythons tend to stress a lot easier than the corn snakes do, going off food as I mentioned earlier, but it's not that big of a deal if you correctly care for them, and they'll live a happy long life if you get all their setup requirements and their health requirements in check. Anyway, my conclusion is corn snakes are a lot less stressful to keep. They're just hardy animals that can do good with anything basically. They tolerate our bad care a lot better than a ball python would. That's it for this video. Hope that helped you guys choosing whether you want to get a ball python or a corn snake, or just if you wanted to know a few differences between the two species. Thank you guys for watching. As always, if you like this video, hit that like button. Thanks guys for watching. Bryce from Righteous Reptiles. Remember to go out, learn, explore, inspire. Cheers guys.